So you establish credit by, for you guys, paying your bills on time and hopefully in full. Because again, you have no credit history. So biggest point in your FICO score, do you pay your bills on time? What a small loan is a charge in your credit card. Okay? Use a parent as a co-signer, particularly for a car, if you can. Don't call your parents on Saturday morning when you're 30 and ask them to be a co-signer for you, though. That doesn't go over too well. Okay, before you purchase anything on credit, how much will it really cost you? And there are websites, or you can just budget it out. Can I afford to make this purchase? Is it better to save the money? Is that word again, save the money and pay for it in cash? And I'll tell you, if you can buy anything in cash, you can negotiate. Cash talks. You talk about this all the time. I know young guys buying used cars. You show up with a chunk of cash, a couple thousand or 10,000 of cash. The guy selling a car for 15 or 20, you wave that cash, you can get them down. Cash talks. You can negotiate with cash. People want cash. So we say get one card. Get one credit card. Get it preferably through a credit union because their rates are the best. Don't buy store cards. And I forgot to mention at the last class, and somebody asked me, he said, what about store cards? I got this TJ Maxx, and they're always, don't get store cards. This was a big point when I started doing this presentation. I have 3 daughters. We had the Nordy card, good old Nordstrom, and I had Home Depot. And I said, we gotta cut the cards down. We cut it. We had about 6, 7, 8 cards. Most of them were store cards. I said, we gotta cut this out. I'm going with 2 cards. And I got such a fight for my daughters and my wife on that Nordstrom card. I said, okay, we'll get rid of the Home Depot card. But Dad, there's always a deal. I said, precisely. Every time you walk into Nordstrom with your card, there's a deal. And what are you doing? You're buying every time. And I said, I'm just as guilty as you at Home Depot. You walk in there on a Saturday and there's a deal with your deal. Okay? Store cards are dangerous. And the interest rates are usually higher. And I see a lot of the young ladies looking at me like, oh no, store card. And you guys too, get rid of the store cards, they're killers, all right? So resist opening a new credit card for enticing gifts. You saw what happened at Santa Monica College. This is what happened to a guy I know at Notre Dame. I'm back for a game. This is 205, and outside the bookstore, apply today. Get your card, get your free shirt. 208, here's your free shirt. Okay? I did this in 2003. I was back there, and I saw this cool shirt. And I went over, and I said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to get this free shirt. Well, get in the bookstore. I said, it's $25 in the bookstore. I'll get it for free. She said, oh, you're a jerk, And particularly since I'm walking around with Bank One on my back. I'm advertising for Bank One. Well, I got it. I never used the card. I got a bunch of nasty phone calls for about 2 or 3 months after I got them, and they said, well, you haven't opened it up yet. And I said, I'm not going to. Well, what'd you get it for? I wanted the shirt. Well, well, that's not fair, that's not true. Yeah. Anyway, I did. I hung up. Thanks. So, but this happens. It'll happen at college, I guarantee it. Okay? Obtaining card. Shop for the card that's best for you. Play close attention to the late charges and penalties. Yeah, so you read all this fine print, which you can't read here, and if you read it, and I read it, you can't understand it. Fortunately, there are a couple of good card rating agencies. Consumer Reports is the best. Everybody has read a Consumer Report, I know. All right, you can go to the library and get them. They rate everything, cars, stereos. They rate credit cards. They rate credit cards. Really good. They give you 10, 15 credit cards. They'll tell you the good things, the bad things, the bad fees, the sneaky fees, all the bad stuff. Go to Consumer Reports before you get a card. Okay, evaluate whether the rewards are worth the extra fees. Some rewards are good. I had a guy go up and say, Judge, I'm paying a little extra, but I do a lot of flying and I get my mileage. And I said, that's great. You're paying it off pretty much, keep the balance low. I got a good FICO score. I said, good. You like to fly? That makes sense. But, I think he was with, I don't know, it was Visa or MasterCard, one of the big ones. Limit your card for essential purchases. We tell the college students, try to use it just for an emergency. Don't use it at McDonald's. Don't use it at Starbucks. You'll be surprised how fast that balance adds up. Use it for an emergency. You know, the car, the tire blows, something that, you know, you get the wisdom tooth. That's your emergency money. Try to pay the entire amount in full on time. This one is an interesting one. Keep track of where your cars were. We say have one card. I want you, well, first of all, the average American family has 9 cards. 9 cards. Okay, now here's your homework assignment. I want you to go home tonight and ask your parents, how many cards do you have, Mom, Dad? How many cards? I'll bet you they can't tell you right off the top of their head. I bet you they got well, I don't know, well, let's count them. I bet you they have to take the wallet out and count them. And I'm curious to see how many of your parents are close to the 9 average. Also, the average family carries, I think it's now $10,000 or $12,000 in a balance. Ask your parents what their credit card balance is of all their cards. First of all, I'll bet you they can't tell you right off the top of the head. I bet you they can't say, well, you know, it's 10, 15,000. They'll have to check it out. And then ask them what their FICO score is. First of all, I'll bet you that a parent or two will say, what's a FICO score? Okay? So you got them there. You can tell them, hey, you know what a FICO score is? Then you can educate them, tell them what a FICO score is. Then ask them what there is, and you can tell them how to get it, and check it out, and tell them about the highs and the lows, okay? So those are 3 assignments. Ask them how many cards, what their balances are, and what their FICO score is. That's your assignment for tonight. Okay, avoid cash advances. That dings your credit score. Don't forget, you have no credit history. So that's a negative. Don't max your card out. You got a $5,000 card, you shouldn't be up at $5,000 or $4,500. You should be around 3. This really hurts your credit score. You max it out at your age, so you want to keep about a 30% below your limit, okay? 30% below the limit. Those are 3 key factors on your credit scores. Calculate how long it'll pay the card off. Bankrate is very good. They have a calculator on there, on the computer. You can just calculate right out. You pay more than a minimum payment. We talked about that. 80% of reports contain mistakes. They do. These are some good websites: Smart Money, Annual Credit, FICO, Consumer Reports, and Channel One. Visit our CARE website. I'll go through that. Susie Orman, excellent book. Pick up a copy of this. The library has some. It's $10. Get a copy. It's an outstanding book for you to read this summer before you launch your financial career. And finally, here's a couple more things. This is why it's so hard to get credit reform. This is President Obama and the Mr. President, the gentleman from the credit card industry are here, and there's the gang. They're the mobsters. These banks and credit companies lobby hard. They pay a lot of money to Congress to keep reform from happening.